Welcome back to the Grind, Sleep, Repeat podcast. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how many calories that you should be eating.
Yeah, I think calories are viewed as good or bad. And our goal with the podcast today is to inform you on how to structure the calories in your diet based on your goals, whether that is to gain weight, whether that's to lose weight, whether it's to maintain weight, whether your goal is to build muscle, lose body fat. If it's to perform in your workouts, you have to have the right amount of calories to reach that goal. So that's something that we want to clear up in the podcast today and just give you all the information. No matter what your goal is, you can take something from our podcast today and apply it to your nutrition and your training. Before we hop into the rest of the podcast, guys, we want to let you know that we are doing an awesome sale for our supplement line the month of November. We are doing an early access to where you can get 20% off of your subscriptions of FitGrind Supplements. And if you keep that subscription, it's actually going to be for life. So you can get 20% off every single month moving forward. We're also doing 30% off of our supplements and up to 50% off of our apparel. So if you are looking to support our brand, try out our supplement line, pick up a new gym outfit from our FitGrind Apparel line, head over to FitGrindFormula.com. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, I'll leave the link in the comments or the description below. Go check out our awesome sales that we have going on. Like I said, this is the time to check out our supplements, stock up on some supplements, and sign up for a subscription where you can get 20% off every single month moving forward. So Thank you guys for the support. Let's hop into the podcast.
We like to break down our calories by categorizing them by proteins, fats, and carbs. So typically, depending on the person, we always say to hit the recommended amount of 0.8 grams to 1 gram per body weight of protein. And then depending on if you are somebody who eats more of a higher fat diet or higher carb diet, also depending on what you're training for, if you're a runner, a hybrid athlete, carbs are going to be 40 to 50% of your overall intake. And then the remainder, 20 to 25%, is going to be fats.
Yeah, I think, you have your carbs, your fat, your protein, and looking at macros, there's so many different options based on your goals. And I think where a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot is they do one of two things. They have a goal, they want to lose body fat or they want to build muscle, and they train their ass off in the gym, but then they just kind of spin their wheels with their nutrition. They either eat too much food because they don't track their food and they don't realize how many calories are in certain foods, and then they either don't gain weight or they don't gain the right type of weight. So say they're trying to build muscle, then they put on body fat because they're not eating enough protein or healthy carbs. Or on the flip side, they eat too many calories and they're trying to lose body fat and that goal isn't accomplished. Or the other thing that people do is they undereat. Both of those things are just as bad as the other. If we're under eating our calories, you're eating too few of calories, and we'll talk about this in a second. You're eating right around your basal metabolic rate in calories. Like that's the amount of calories that it needs. Your body needs to function and stay alive. Your body's not going to get rid of body fat. Like think of it this way: if your body had to go a week out in the wilderness and survive on just your own body fat, do you think that it's going to be willing to get rid of it very easily? It's going to only use it when it needs it. So body fat is a really good stored energy source that our body can use. And if you are under eating, there's no way that your body is going to be willing to get rid of body fat. And what's going to happen is your body's going to get rid of muscle mass. So we'll talk about those two things and how you can structure it towards your goal, but just make sure that you are creating a goal. And we actually have a free macro calculation on our website. So if you are interested in getting a custom macro calculation, you can head over to FitGrindFormula.com. Like I said, we do a free macro calculation to give you a great place to start. That may not be the place that you'll be forever. And typically that's what we do, with online training clients is this is where we start, but it takes that coaching to continually change the program, to continually change the nutrition based on new goals that you set or based on how your body is responding, either positively or negatively. So after you're done listening to the podcast, definitely go check out our free macro calculation. I'll leave the link in the comments and the description below if you're watching on YouTube and you'd like to check out that free resource.
Yeah, and kind of back to what you were saying about somebody who isn't eating enough. Typically with that person specifically, the way that we would structure their diet is going to be a little different than somebody who comes in and is used to tracking macros and eating enough and fueling their bodies. But we're not going to throw a bunch of calories at that person because it's instantly going to scare them, probably freak them out, make them feel really full and uncomfortable. It's a very slow process. So somebody who's eating less, it's going to be baby steps to get you to probably even just maintenance at that point. So just know that it's a process to getting you to that maintenance calories, which therefore, if you are somebody who is in that situation that wants to build muscle, it's going to be a long journey because you got to be able to be in a calorie surplus to be able to put on muscle. You can put on muscle at maintenance. It's just a little more challenging, but ideally you want to be in that surplus to put on more muscle. And then if you're somebody who's trying to lose weight and you came in and you were not eating nearly enough, or if you're not even hitting your basal metabolic rate and you're below that, then you're definitely going to be somebody that has to slowly build that metabolism back up in order to get back down to cut the weight.
Yeah, and I think, two things based off of what you said that I want to say with that is whether your goal is to gain weight or to lose weight. So like you were saying, your goal is to gain weight. You need to be in a caloric surplus for an extended period of time. It can't just be like, I was in a surplus for 2 days. No, if you're like legitimate about trying to build muscle, you got to be in a surplus for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months consistently. And I think that's the main thing here is consistent surplus. Or if your goal is to be in a deficit and your goal is to lose weight, you have to be in a consistent deficit. It can't just be like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday was good, but Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, I was way over my calories. That's over half of the time. So what we're trying to get at here is the structure and the consistency is the best approach. Not saying that you have to count your calories for the rest of your life, but there should be some structure. And if your goal is to put on 10 pounds of muscle in the next year, we got to focus. We got to tailor the program. We got to focus on our nutrition and fuel our body enough to come in and have good workouts and see the progress that we want. If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, we got to focus. We got to structure things. So that's one of the main points that I wanted to get at there is just make sure that you're consistent with that. And then another thing too is just people are scared of food a lot and they think that they have to undereat because that's what social media has taught us. And a lot of these crazy fad diets are these crash diets that are not sustainable, that you're slashing your calories maybe in half or maybe even more. That's not realistic. And the weight that these people are losing, yeah, it's a lot of body fat, but a lot of it is muscle mass too. So the craziest thing happens when we start to eat a little bit more food, more than you think. We do an 8-week challenge here at the gym a couple times a year, and our scale that we have is able to calculate people's basal metabolic rate based on their muscle mass and their age, gender, and all sorts of other factors. And then we can give a really custom number based off of that. And a lot of times the amount of calories that we'll have people eating, even if they're trying to lose weight, is way more than they're used to. And one of my favorite lines was, this was actually one of our clients that had won the challenge, the first challenge that we did, where she lost like 17 pounds of body fat in 8 weeks. And I had her eating more food than she was before, and she was seeing better results. And her husband, one night she had dinner cooked up and she had this big plate of food. And remember, it's all healthy food. It's not like it's a bunch of junk, but eating more high quality food. And her husband was like, wait, you're going to eat all that food? She's like, I get to eat all this food. And it just completely changes the mindset around eating, where a lot of times if we're trying to lose weight and go on diets, it's like restrict. And then you have all these cravings. And, it's not necessarily always that way. You can eat more food than you think, especially if you're training like a hybrid athlete. That's something that we love to train in that style. We advocate. We have a lot of clients that like to train in that style. Or where you're mixing some sort of strength training and conditioning together, you're going to need to fuel your body enough to come in and have good workouts. And if you're under fueling, your body's going to A, hold on to body fats and a lot of inflammation, or B, you're just not going to have the energy to work out and have really intense workouts and make any sort of progress in the gym.
Yeah, that was a lot of information to go back on. But so for back to when you were talking about, trying to gain weight, lose weight, just be mindful that your diet, when you are in that calorie surplus, it's not a chance to eat whatever you want. It's not, because if you do it that way, then you're going to put on more body fat than the goal, which is muscle. And then same with being in that deficit, just know that there is going to be a chance of muscle loss. So the idea is to hold on to as much muscle as we can by eating enough protein and recovering properly with our workouts. So workouts are going to be more challenging too when you're in that deficit. Energy is going to be a little bit lower. And then being in that surplus, you're going to be fueled and probably hitting nice PRs in the gym and
get some juicy pumps.
It's just they're two different total opposite goals. I think it's a good idea to spend time at your maintenance calories too, because this gives you the chance to still put on muscle and body recomposition at the same time, but also helps you take a little break from tracking and obsessing with that calorie deficit, that calorie surplus. It kind of gives you that chance to find that balance and maybe start to learn how to eyeball certain things too. It's good to be in this maintenance phase for many times throughout the year.
Yeah, I think dieting can become very obsessive, whether that's to gain weight, whether that's to lose weight. And we want to be structured with things. We always talk about structure and having a program and having goals and working towards something. But there are negative behaviors that happen because of dieting. And I think that's exactly to your point. Like, it's important to take, we call them like diet breaks, but really it's just a time where you spend more time in maintenance. And you can still lose body fat at maintenance, and you can still build muscle at maintenance. Like you said, as you are more experienced and as you say you've been training for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you're probably not going to put on a significant amount of muscle while you're at maintenance. I call it main gaining, where you might put on a little bit of muscle here and there and you're just focused on building strength. Or the same thing, like body recomp can happen if you're at maintenance. Mm-hmm. When you're just starting, say you're newer to getting into fitness and prioritizing your health, that's where those big body composition changes can happen even at maintenance. We see it all the time here at the gym. We have an in-body scale where it tracks your body fat, your muscle mass, your water, and we'll have someone start that hasn't trained for years. They come in and in 8 weeks they see these awesome body composition changes. Now, it's not because they're not working hard, or it's just because they're new. They are working really hard. It's just you see those bigger changes for people that are newer to exercise. But back to the point is, allow yourself to live. I think spending years in a very anal type mindset of like, this is the way that I eat, this is the way that I train, and as you get older and you mature a little bit, one thing that I've realized is that fitness is a part of my life. My health is a part of my life, but it's not my entire life. It's not my sole identity. There's a lot of other things in my life that I care about. And I actually saw this on Instagram the other day for someone that I followed for years, and he has a similar story where, he had very body dysmorphic type tendencies, and he put it plain and simply. He said that life is too short not to eat pizza. I love that, because yes, life is too short to not enjoy your favorite foods or go out to dinner with friends and family and miss those social situations. Like we always say, as long as you're taking care of 80% of the nutrition is whole quality food, or 90%, you can have a date with your significant other or go out to friends and have pizza. And like, as long as it's not every single meal, every single day, every single week, you can still see great progress. And that's something that I really want to get across here. And that's something that I've learned with my fitness is it's not all or nothing. You can have balance, and that's something you should work towards striving for. And I think that's what you were talking about with learning to intuitively eat and not track. It's important to eventually get to that point.
Yeah, a big thing also for me, having that body dysmorphia as well, is knowing like we're going on a Disney trip this weekend. Actually, we leave, and typically I would be like panic mode, anxious about all the food and what am I going to eat. While I do have to worry about those things with some gluten intolerant restrictions, but knowing that we only get so much time with our kids to do these things and enjoy these experiences. And if I spend 80% of my time worrying about food, then I'm really missing out on the opportunity to watch these kids enjoy their time on vacation, and for me to even enjoy time being on vacation. So I think that's kind of the point we're trying to make, is that you got to have a balance. You got to be able to say, okay, yes, I'm going on this trip. I'm going to make good decisions. Like, I'm not going to just eat trash the whole trip. I'm going to go to the grocery store. We're going to pick up some things that we can, but also know that we're going to go out to dinner some nights. We're going to enjoy some treats every now and then, but also knowing that we are so consistent throughout the rest of the year in the gym. We are so consistent throughout the rest of the year with our diet that it's okay to have these breaks. And in fact, it's mentally good to have breaks like this.
Yes, I agree for sure. Yeah.
So.
And when you find yourself in those same type of situations, and we always, like I was talking about, I think back to that challenge that we do a couple times a year, 8-week challenge. And sometimes people's objections to starting that challenge are like, oh, I'm going to be traveling a lot. I'm, this and that. That's okay. And if you're traveling, you can still make great choices. Maybe it's not a plain chicken breast, some broccoli, and a sweet potato. That's okay. Like, you don't have to eat just that to see progress.
Yeah.
You can make the best choices that you have access to. You still find a way to get in your workouts. Like, we're going to Disney this upcoming weekend, like we said. We're going to be walking a ton. We're going to be in a ton of steps. We're still going to work out while we're there. And we're going to enjoy ourselves. Like, I'm not saying that we're going to pig out and go crazy. That's just not who we are. But we're going to allow ourselves to enjoy our trip and know that one bad meal or one treat does not make or break your fitness. Your fitness is made up of this compounding effect over the course of weeks and months and years of you going to the gym, being consistent, of you being consistent with your diet and your nutrition and fueling your body. So don't look at your fitness as this fragile thing that like, oh, I had a couple Oreos, I'm done, I'm going to gain fat, I'm going to lose all my progress. Our fitness is not that fragile, and it's not something that goes that quickly. Just get right back on the horse. The best thing that you can do is just have a short-term memory with it and focus on your next meal, your next workout, your next day, and realize that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Your health and your fitness is something that we want to carry out for our entire life. It's not just this 8-week sprint that we're trying to lose as much weight or build as much muscle as possible. We want to set good habits that we can sustain over the course of a lifetime.
Yeah, the key here is to create balance, because if we are not consistently in this deficit or consistently at maintenance, all we're doing is this yo-yo up and down, and then we're never going to see results. If we're in this deficit, we screw up, we have, like you said, Oreos or something bad, and you just say, you know what, screw it, I'll just start again on Monday. And then you go down, and then you come right back up. And then that same thing is going to happen again, because you're human, and you can't restrict yourself from never having Oreos again. Especially, I'm the type of person, if I say I can never have this again, it actually almost makes me want that more.
Yes.
So, because then your brain keeps thinking about it, because you want those things that you can't have. So if you allow yourself to, whatever it is that you feel restricted from, allow yourself to have that maybe once a week or somehow fit it into your macros, then you're less likely to have these ups and downs of yo-yo dieting, and you're more likely to get the results that you are looking to get.
So I just said something that I'm definitely cutting out of this podcast, but you guys can comment down below if you have any guesses on what I said. But so this is our take on how many calories you should eat. We work with people every day that have different goals, owning this gym and being personal trainers, whether that goal is to build muscle, lose body fat, have really performance-based goals. It all starts with the workouts and the nutrition. And the workout program is there to create the stimulus. The nutrition is there to help fuel that workout program and drive the results. And if you're somebody that is just seeing okay results, we'd love to help out any way that we can. We offer online training if you're not someone that's local, or if you are local, we'd love to help out. You can stop into the gym and find out how we can help you. So nutrition and exercise, the combination of those two things and having structure is what's really going to get the results that you want. And I challenge you, if you're not seeing good results, I want you to do something about it. Take it upon yourself to get to the gym. Take it upon yourself to start eating better. And ask questions that you have. That's why we do this podcast, is to help. So if you have questions, let us know in the comment section. We'll get back to you, or you can reach out over social media. We'd love to help out any way that we can.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next one.